The Hawaiian forest breathed mist. A damp, chilling shroud draped over everything. Giant ferns dripped with condensation. The air hung heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. This was no place for the living. The fading light struggled to penetrate the dense canopy. Twisted branches like skeletal fingers clawed at the sky. An unnatural silence had fallen, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water. It was a silence that screamed danger. The forest held its breath. It knew ancient spirits stirred in the shadows. They were coming.
Kimo, a local teenager, knew better than to be in the forest after dark. He'd grown up hearing the stories. Tales whispered around campfires, passed down through generations. Stories of the night marchers. His grandmother's warnings echoed in his ears. Never whistle at night, Kimo. You might attract their attention. But Kimo, young and foolhardy, had dismissed her words as old wives' tales. Tonight, he would learn the hard way. He was on his way home from a friend's house, taking a shortcut through the forest. A shortcut he now desperately regretted. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of a branch sent shivers down his spine. Then he heard it, a rhythmic thumping, low and guttural, carried on the wind, the sound of drums beating in the distance. Kimo's blood ran cold. He knew that sound. He'd heard it countless times in his nightmares. The forest floor began to tremble. The thumping grew louder, closer. Then through the mist he saw them, tall, shadowy figures marching in single file. They carried torches that burned with an eerie green light, casting grotesque shadows that danced and writhed on the forest floor. Their eyes, glowing like hot coals, pierced the darkness. They wore helmets adorned with feathers, and their bodies were draped in cloaks that seemed to billow even though there was no wind. The air grew heavy with the smell of death and decay. Terror gripped me. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs felt like lead. I remembered my grandmother's words. If you ever encounter the night marchers, show respect. Don't look them in the eye. Lie face down and don't move until they have passed. With trembling hands, I dropped to the ground. I kept my eyes fixed firmly on the earth, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear their footsteps now, heavy and measured, coming closer. The ground vibrated with their power. The torches cast an eerie green light over me, and I could feel their heat on my back. The smell of death washed over me, making me gag. But I didn't move. I didn't dare breathe. I knew that if I showed fear, if I disrespected them, I would be lost.
The drumming faded. The footsteps grew fainter. Kimo lay there for what felt like an eternity, too terrified to move. Finally, when he could no longer hear any sound, he slowly raised his head. The forest was silent again, the only sound the beating of his own heart. He scrambled to his feet and ran. He didn't stop running until he reached the safety of his home. He never spoke of what he had seen that night, but the memory of it, the terror and the awe, stayed with him forever. The legend of the night marchers lives on in Hawaii, a chilling reminder of the island's ancient past, a reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, a reminder to respect the old ways, the old stories, for they hold a power that is both terrifying and real.